Hello everybody, welcome. 1 second. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here live in downtown Minneapolis. This is the government center that you are looking at. People have come to the seat of the power here in downtown Minneapolis to call for charges to be dropped against 646 people who were arrested
especially on this beautiful
in November.
Step
just
forward.
let
we're
the rally
today.
speak for itself.
We're actually still waiting for Amina McCaskill. Oh, Amina's here. Good. Yay! So my name's Sam. I'm with the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. We're here today to demand dropping the charges for Amina McCaskill, and of course all the other 646 plus people who were arrested or were detained, I guess, for several hours. But Amina got trumped up charges for no reason. There was nobody that was hurt, unlike some protests that I've heard about in the past month or so. You may have heard of one at the Capitol that there was a lot of different things that happened.
Had to throw in a glove.
So, yeah, we're here today. We're going to go ahead and get started. And our first speaker is Jay. Jay is from the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar as well. And please get ready to listen and hand it over.
So again, the arrests that people are talking about are from a post-election day march, where 646 people were mass detained
I recognize
or
a lot of the
arrested.
people here from the highway. A lot of us that are out here are protesting not just for, the principle of the thing, but protesting because we are directly affected by this absolute gross misuse of power by the MPD, by Governor Walz, by the state patrol. It's absolutely ridiculous that we were kettled literally right before walking off of a highway.
Yeah, listen!
What sense does it make to spend the probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars spent on LRADs, on pepper spray, on bike cops, on horse cops, to kettle a bunch of people that were already about to walk off of the highway? What sense does that make? And then on top of that, the police are trying to make it out as though a laser pointer is a deadly weapon. Are you kidding? All of this, it is a cat toy, and all of this just proves our point that the police don't exist for keeping anybody safe. The police are not here for any type of public safety initiative whatsoever. Because if this was about public safety, we would not have been held on a highway in the cold for 5 hours, and the cops would not have continued to block traffic for that 5 hours if they were so worried about people being able to run on the highway. So what that says to me is that we need to shift our understanding of this being an issue of just this incident. We need to think about this as a holistic issue. And the issue here is that we don't have control over our own police.
That's right.
We don't have control over the people that literally live in our neighborhoods that we pay to police our neighborhoods. We have no control over their behavior. We have no control over how much they get paid. We have no control over discipline when they do stupid things like kettle us on a highway, or kill someone, or maim someone. And yet, when we protest about this stuff, we are treated very differently from how Governor Walz allowed all of those Trump protesters to act foolish outside his mansion all summer. So I think we need to start changing up our demands. We need to start demanding real community control of the police. Not whatever stupid initiative city council is working on, not whatever dumb $500,000 initiative is being funded by nonprofits right now. We need real, actual community control of the police where we have a say in how policing happens in our own communities. We deserve that. We deserve to have self-determining power in our own lives. And so I hope that we can continue to rally around getting these charges dropped for Amina and for all of us, because the next big fight is getting community control of the police.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Jay's on his way to work after this, so that's why Jay is going to head out. But thank you. And then our next speaker is Meredith Kirby. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop. Abby, okay, I apologize just a little bit. So sorry, Meredith. I don't think I've ever tried to really pronounce your last name. But Meredith is from an amazing organization called the Anti-War Committee, who was also there on the highway with us, and just recently held another protest follow-up to, demand real people's agenda for the next 4 years. So, Meredith, thank you. I'm passing it right over to you.
Hennepin County, so that's who we're talking to right here, right? This building?
That's right.
They need to drop the charges on Amina McCaskill and on the I-94 646. And we are here to say that today, but we need to say that more than just today. We need to be making calls to Mike Freeman and demanding this. And if you are one of the people who's been offered a deal, I encourage you not to take it.
That's right.
We need to be clogging up this system.
Yeah.
This system, even before the pandemic, was not giving justice to people in Minneapolis.
That's right.
It was not seeing that killing black people, if you're a cop, is a crime. It was not saying that, it was not defending our rights before this, but it's certainly not defending it now. And we have the opportunity through solidarity to say that Amina should not be singled out, and we have the right through solidarity to say Black Lives Matter. I think this is important already, but I want to specifically highlight what the heck happened on January 6th. Because to me, it's like a tale of two protests. We gathered on November 4th. We had hundreds of people in the street marching on the highway, which we've been doing in Minneapolis all summer long. We were doing something, we'd already won the right to protest in our community the way that we wanted to. We did not hurt anybody. We did not threaten anybody. We were simply spreading a message of Black Lives Matter, and we were kettled by the cops. We were detained during a pandemic where we were forced to stay with each other for 5 hours. That's ridiculous.
That's right.
I can't even see what I want to say now. That's the problem with these masks. But then if you look at the protests that happened on January 6th, there we had thousands of people who came prepared with weapons, came prepared, saying overtly they planned to hang and kill people. They actually attacked people, just random people of color, happened to be living in D.C., which is predominantly people of color anyway. And literally, they stormed the Capitol, they broke into it, they threatened people, people were even killed, and they're actually having a debate at the FBI about whether or not people even deserve charges. So literally, we are fighting for Amina today. We are fighting to defend the right to protest, and we are fighting to defend the Black Lives Matter movement. So we are here today, but we will be here for every court proceeding that Amina has, and it is 100% necessary that we continue this pressure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you. And just as Meredith said, that's a reminder that we're going to keep on this campaign. On Monday, there's an electronic hearing that we're going to put on Zoom. Well, we're going to put the Zoom link on the second Facebook event on Monday. And we're going to keep on going to court hearings for Amina and for the other 646. So thank you for bringing that up. Call Mike Freeman this weekend, too. There's flyers with this information. And so I'd like to bring up an amazing person who was also arrested with us that night, Miss Nakima Levy-Armstrong from the Racial Justice Network.
You know, if I went to the Capitol, I would have got killed. But I'm black. Hey.
How y'all doing out there? We know it's cold, but it's always cold in Minnesota. I'm sorry, except for summertime. That doesn't absolve us from our responsibilities of getting out here, standing up, fighting, and demanding justice. So I have with me, standing here, Amina McCaskill. I want you guys to see her face, to know her name, and continue advocating for justice for this beautiful, intelligent, strong black woman who was literally out there on I-94. She could have been studying or doing what we know college students do, but she was out there standing up for justice, having to face terrorism at the hands of Governor Walz and John Harrington, because the police are just a tool of elected officials and the powers that be. Governor Walz is the one who made the decision to kettle us for over 5 hours, and he did it to try to punish us. And I hope that it means that he will be a one-time governor as a result of what he did. He's more concerned about people going out on the freeway and saying that it's unsafe, without recognizing that we don't feel safe in our communities day in and day out because of these goddamn killer cops, because of these abusive cops, because of these cops who criminalize our community, these white boys who come from the suburbs and the exurbs, who know nothing about people of color and have all kinds of power and authority over our lives. Somebody say that ain't right. Governor Walz can sit his ass in his big mansion and not have to worry about these issues. Issues that he knew were happening before he ran to become governor of a state facing racial turmoil. Because of police abuse, because of these economic disparities, because of these education disparities, and because mainstream white Minnesotans don't seem to give a damn about the plight of black people and other people of color. That's who Governor Walz is trying to appease. And I also have to call out John Harrington, who has no goddamn business as the head of public safety in the state of Minnesota. And I do not care that he is a black cop. The reality is that they have propped this man up when he could care less about black lives. He used to be the head of the St. Paul Police Department, which we know is the most murderous police department in the state of Minnesota. And there were murderers under his watch as well. He allowed white cops to harass and beat up black people in St. Paul, and he got in the papers and made excuses. So we went to the mayor at the time and demanded that they not renew his contract and ran his ass out of the St. Paul Police Department. And instead of him going and running and crawling into a hole that he deserved to be in, he was then appointed as the head of the Metro Transit Police Department, which he had no business doing. Because if you're black and you're riding a train or you're riding a bus and you don't have a fare, or somebody complains and feels threatened by you, they will beat your ass on Metro Transit. And I'm talking about the police. And this happened on his watch. And he didn't do a damn thing about it. And so again, instead of him crawling into a hole, what happened? They appoint him as head of public safety for the state of Minnesota. Somebody say that ain't right. He is responsible for what happened to us on that freeway as well. Why? Because they are practicing on us in preparation for the trial of Derek Chauvin and the other cops. That was practice. That's why they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And he has already stated that he's going to do his best to try to squash our protests. So knowing what we're up against, we have to continue to show up. We have to continue to demand justice. We cannot go back and be silent just because they're trying to rise up against people who are demanding justice. That's what they've always tried to do. That's what they did to my ancestors for 400 years. But thankfully, our people refuse to be refused. We refuse to remain silent. We refuse to be comfortable. We refuse to continue to experience oppression. And we see what they're trying to do to this young woman. There is absolutely no reason to be charging her with the felony, multiple felonies, when we know that many of these cops have committed all types of felonies and abuse. They've committed domestic violence and gotten away with it. They have been criminals and thugs and gangsters on the job and gotten away with it. But somebody allegedly pointing a cat toy is now facing worse charges than most of these cops out here in these streets.
Listen!
Somebody said that ain't right.
That ain't right!
So please call Mike Freeman. I wish we had his new address because we need to show up at his house until he leaves.
Yes, sir.
Just like we told Bob Crow to get the hell out of Minneapolis.
Listen.
And as of mid-January, he is no longer a part of the Minneapolis Police Department.
Yeah.
So I want to thank y'all. I know it's cold out here, but it's important for our hearts to stay on fire for freedom, justice, and equality.
Yeah.
God bless y'all.
Yeah.
How's everybody?
All right.
So, I really wanted to come out here. The most important thing was to make sure that I was in front of everybody to say a big thank you. I cannot explain the amount of love and support I felt from everyone throughout this whole situation, and I can't be more grateful. I couldn't, never at once have I felt alone throughout this whole situation. So I really do want to thank each and every single one of you guys for taking the time out and coming out today. So they locked me up, but I'm back here. It's only going to happen again.
All right.
So I just want to tell everybody the same thing I've been saying over and over again. Something like this might happen again. Someone might pick up a pencil and accidentally throw it at a cop and they might get jail for life. Like, things like this are going to happen, but I never want situations like these to put fear into people from going back out there, going back to fight for what's right. Because they're going to keep on doing this. They're going to repeat it over and over again until they feel like they put fear in us for us to stop doing what we've been doing this whole time, and that's fighting for our freedom. It's not going to stop. And I want to tell these people up here, if they can hear me, that my charges need to be dropped. Their charges need to be dropped. And that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much.
Justice for Amina!
Justice for Amina! When I say drop the, you say charges. Drop the charges. Drop the charges. Drop the charges. Thank you. And just real quick, if you were part of organizing, put your hand up. Oh my goodness, this mask. But anyways, also I just want to introduce real quick Kaya, who is Amina's lovely high school teacher. So this is how much Amina means the community.
Hi, I'm not old enough to be Amina's teacher, but yeah.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, I'm kidding, I am.
Oh, okay.
Amina is an amazing young woman. I've known her since she was a 9th grader and went to Armstrong High School. This young woman was out there peacefully protesting for Black Lives Matter, against Donald Trump's false claims about the election, along with 646 others. She was made an example of because of the color of her skin, and I'm sick of this bullshit.
That's right. That's right.
We demand police accountability, CPAC now.
That's right.
We demand the police stop killing black and brown bodies.
That's right.
And we demand an end to the bullshit.
That's right.
I had another thing I was going to say and I forgot it. It's too cold. I just want to say thank you for coming out here. And don't forget to check TCC4J's website for the Zoom link so you can show up at the court date and flood that virtual courtroom. Toshira, just went to warm up.
Okay,
Went to warm up.
so thank you, Kaya. If you are from CARE, or if, oh my God, what's that brother's
Right here. Here
name?
you go. There you go.
If you're supposed to be on the speakers list, come on right now. But I think this might be our actually last
Here
speaker.
you go. Here you go. Right here.
Oh, yes, are you from CARE, brother?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, awesome. So this brother's from CARE, and he's gonna go ahead and say a few words.
All right.
Salam everybody. Salam means peace. My name is Muhammad Ibrahim. I'm Deputy Director of CARE Minnesota. And I think it's really important to notate the time in history that we live in. We have lived in an historic time where we have seen many people storm the Capitol and not a single one got a riot charge. And yet we have a young woman who was out here for Black Lives got hit with a with a felony charge. A second degree felony charge, excuse me. So I think it's important for us to understand that there were people in places and systems in place that allow for these things to happen so that they can continue to threaten us from being out here demanding justice and demanding equality for Black lives.
That's right.
Right? So that night, when they kettled all of us, it wasn't to keep us safe. It wasn't to keep the highways from running, but it was for us to intimidate us for what's going to be happening in March if we don't get the justice that we all deserve.
That's right.
Right? And they were letting us know that, Governor Walsh was letting us know that they were not going to stand for us to go be out here in the streets, in our streets, demanding for the rights that we deserve. Right? So that's why we've seen this past week, Governor Walsh asked for $35 million. $35 million so they can keep us from protesting in these streets, so they could board up these buildings. They care more about buildings than the damn things that they did to keep people from getting the rights that they deserve. So they lynched a black man on national television, and instead of them fixing and actually being accountable for the things that they've done, they want to go do the reactive thing and get $35 million to protect buildings and to keep people from the highways. That tells me that their priorities are not straight. And we need people in positions that have the proper priorities so that they can be a reflection of the community. And right now they don't look like us. They don't care about what we care about. And that tells us that some people need to get the hell out of office. And we need to have people in positions that can do the things that we know they can do. We know they can drop the charges. We know they can drop Amina's charges. So drop the damn charges. And we're gonna be out here every single day, every single moment, until we get Amina's charges dropped, until we get all the charges dropped for the 646 plus that are out there on the highway.
That's right.
And we will do it by any means necessary.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you, brother. And we just want to thank all of the different people that were with us that night on the 646. CARE was one of the many organizations that was there with us, as well as a lot of Muslim folks and Somali East African people were there that night as well. And it was actually in their neighborhood, and people also faced repercussions. So our next speaker is Toshira. She's her family supporting families against police violence. So come on up, hon.
Nice banner.
I want to thank you all for being here as you always do. You always show up for us, show up for our families, show up most of all for what's right. What we all know in our hearts is right. That's why we are out here today. That's why we were out there on that freeway the other day or a couple months ago. That's why we were out there. We were out there because we were fighting for what we know in our hearts is right. Governor Tim Walz, there's no way that he could ever say that he's standing for our families and he's standing for truth if you are pushing for these charges to be pressed against our families and pressed against the people that are standing in solidarity with our families. This young girl, Amina, she does not deserve to get a felony. What they need to be focused on is charging this man that killed somebody in broad daylight and didn't care that he was being recorded.
Listen.
We gotta sit up here and decide whether he should get first degree, second degree, or third degree murder. Right now it's at second degree murder, but it should be first degree murder. But you're gonna charge this young girl with a felony. You're doing that faster than you're pushing a trial out and letting this man be out in the Bahamas or wherever the hell he at, while this girl is facing a felony charge for a laser, while this man was brutalizing somebody in broad daylight and did not care. So we see what's going on here in the state of Minnesota. These people are confused on what side they stand on, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. Tim Walz met with our families prior to the event on the freeway. So you know he knows exactly why we are out there. We have been pushed, our backs have been pushed up against the wall. Our community and our families are tired. That's why we were on the freeway. We will not let them twist the narrative. We were not aggressive, but yet the police showed up in riot gear. They showed up in war gear against the community that's fighting for human life. And we just watched these people barricade the most secure building in the world and nobody got arrested. So we see the truth. We know what's going on. We got to call it out for what it
himself is going to stop me from fighting for human life and fighting for Amina and fighting for what I know and my heart is right. And I will continue to stand on that, no matter what I stand up against. I can stand up against their little charges that they want to charge me with. I can stand up against them arresting me, because that is what's going to get us the justice that we deserve. No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice! Thank you, everybody. Thank you for continuing to be out here. God bless you all.
Thank you. And there were two more speakers, of course, that I forgot. I apologize just a little bit. But the next one is Emma. She's a student at the U of M and with the Students for a Democratic Society, and then we have to sign after that. And then we're going to try to warm our fingers.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm here representing the Students for Democratic Society at the University of Minnesota, where I'm a student. And I really appreciate you guys having me out today. I was out on I-94 that night on the 4th of November, arrested with a couple of my friends from SDS. And I just kind of want to talk about what it is that we saw. First of all, we saw state-sponsored political repression at the hands of the very people who are meant to protect and serve us. The same systems of oppression that are currently contributing to the destruction of indigenous land up north, land that has now been stolen twice, all in the name of a colonial power. The same systems of oppression that refuse to care for our unhoused neighbors in the dead of a Minnesota winter during a pandemic. The same systems of oppression that target Black people, Indigenous people, and communities of color that were never meant to support disabled folks or trans people, average people like you and I. And Amina, I'm really, really sorry that you were targeted that night. Because the fact of the matter is that all too often, it is Black women who are forced to bear the burden of societal wrongs. Black women are forced to be stepping stones in the movement for Black liberation. And this is liberation that should not have to be fought for in the first place. But if anything good did come out of that night, Amina, it's that we stand behind you. And a friend of mine shared an idea with me that I want to share with all of you, and that's that whether or not all 700 of us walked onto that bridge that night as police abolitionists, all 700 of us walked off that bridge that night as police abolitionists. Because we recognize that the St. Paul Police Department, the Minneapolis Police Department, the University of Minnesota Police Department are not here to protect us. They are here to protect and serve the very people and systems of inequality that uphold these issues that we are fighting against. And the state only contributed to our cause that night and fueled our movement. That's right. And every time that they attempt to repress us, they think that they've shut us down. But that isn't the case, because we remember that if we don't get it, we shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. In solidarity, Amina, thank you.
Thank you so much. And now our last speaker, thank you to San from On-Site Media. Go ahead and come up here. Also another one, there were so many of us arrested that night.
If some of you date back to the 90s, or even the 80s maybe, when they would have they'd have Black History Month, and they bring you into class and they show you all these pictures of these great Black folks, and they line them up, and then they would say, you know, they did these great things. And you learn about a bunch of people that look like you, and you say, oh man, that's it right there. What did they do? What was their contribution to society? They say, oh, you know, they fought for your rights. They fought for your rights and you got your rights. But the giant part that they left out is that they had to fight in the first place. The giant part that they left out is that they were treated like trash. They were treated like animals. And when we go to therapy, we stay away from the 4 horsemen: stonewalling, condemnation, criticizing, defensiveness. And all this building ever does in the history of its existence is condemn, condemn, condemn.
Listen!
What they don't tell you about those black people is that they had to fight to get the title off them. They had to fight to be human. They had to fight to be considered a human being. There's a black woman running for city council, and somebody ran a smear campaign and said, hey, she was bankrupt in 2012. How dare you class shame somebody? I understand politics is dirty, but we don't need to go that low.
Listen!
The night that we rolled up onto the highway, we marched for what we believe in. We marched for the win. We marched for justice. We marched for our own narratives. Because we know who we are, we know what we're about, and we know where the hell we're going.
Yeah!
We know where we're going. Yet they wanted to take a black woman and condemn, condemn, condemn. When they put you into that system, you know what goes down. When you are in the system, you are not coming out. They label you as a felon. They label you as somebody who can't vote. They label you as not worthy. And in this state, with some of the deepest racial disparity in the game, in the country, that will present white people as, oh, that was a bad day, and then take a black person in their worst 5 minutes, or even a mild 5 minutes, or just 5 minutes of their life, and condemn them for the rest of their lives. Somebody say, that ain't right. Say, that ain't right. Say, that ain't right. And I'm not here for any of that BS. I'm not here for a month. I'm not here for a year. I'm not even here for my lifetime. I'm here for your kids. I'm here for your grandkids. I'm here for your grandkids' kids. I'm here for the next generations that are going to not have to march on a highway to show this city that a racist mayor, a racist governor, an old racist ass DA will not walk this city again. We're not about it. Say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Say enough is enough. And now they want to make an example out of one person. And you heard Governor Walz say, I'm not going to give them what they want. He doesn't want us stepping out onto the highway, doesn't want us marching against the BS that they trowel out. They want to publicly execute a black man on taxpayer money, and then they want Mayor Fry to come in and beautify it up. Can't do that.
That ain't right.
They want to tell you that up is down, and then when you march on the highway to say that up is up, they tell you to go home or I'm going to call you a felon. They're trying to steal your narrative. They're trying to tell you who you are. They're trying to tell you who you're going to be. And we're saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. So we stand in solidarity today, not only with Amina and these BS charges that they brought upon her, but for her story, her life, and her narrative that should not be shamed, that should not be condemned, that should not be titled, that should not be branded like black people of old. When they couldn't do it to your narrative, they took they took metal and branded it onto you. Runaway slave. It's the same thing now. They want to take your rights away from you. They want to take you away from you. They want to take your last name and change it. They want to tell you that you're not human. They don't want you to vote. They don't want you on the highway. But let me tell you something. I don't need to vote to take action. You don't have to subscribe to the rules to take action. You're out here today to stand in solidarity with Amina, but also with the stories and narratives of people of color that have been branded, that have been tarnished, that have been condemned for years, for centuries in this country, in this backwards ass country. And now what you're doing is you're telling that the white authorities and higher ups, no more. Say enough is enough. Enough is enough. All power to the people, and especially Amina.
Okay, so we heard a lot of amazing speeches here today. The crux of the story and the point here today is we want Amina McCaskill's charges, all them charges dropped. We know that what happened on January 6th was an act of political repression. It was an act of racist oppression as well. And we have literally, it is Black History Month, but let me tell you, we made history, especially Black history on that night. All of us did. And we've been doing that for the past 5 years. These people think that they can stop us. We have made this fucking city burn, and we will do it fucking again. Things have changed. And these politicians, whether they're here or there or over in St. Paul or DC, they don't understand that. Because if they understand that, they would start meeting our demands a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So we are going to keep on in the streets. We're going to get all of our charges dropped, including especially Amina's. We're going to call Mike Freeman this weekend. If you got a flyer, call that number. On Monday at 10:30, we're going to attend the Zoom hearing, and we're going to be doing that for court support for other people too. And if you can, don't make a plea deal, because we're going to clog up this whole damn system, just like we clogged up that highway. And of course, on March 8th, the trial for the murders of George Floyd starts, and these motherfuckers ain't keeping us from going. They already planned to shut this whole building down on March 8th, but guess what? They might see us in there. Because we were watching on the last January 20th, or whatever that was, and we may have learned a few tricks. So anyway, keep on fighting, everybody. Keep on being in the streets. Thank you for coming out today, and let's go warm up our fingers and toes.
So we're here out in downtown Minneapolis. Give me one second. Hey, do either of you want to talk about the New Year's Eve demo with this sign? Do you want to talk about the New Year's Eve demo and the repression that happened? You don't have to. Okay. You? Okay, cool. Thank you. So I was just asking this banner, which has dropped the charges on the New Year's Eve 5 that were charged with felonies. I'm going to show it. They're not trying to talk about it right now, but this is sort of more repression that's happening in Minneapolis here. We're going to have a special on that in the next few days, in the next week or so, about the New Year's Eve noise demo that was repressed here in Minneapolis, or attacked by police, I should say, with a lot of people charged and 5 people charged with felonies. This rally was, Amina, hello, I'm Nico. Good to meet you. All right, sweet. Here, you can grab this. Yep, right here. Basically, can you talk about who you are, what happened to you that night, and then, like, what has your life been like since then?
I'm sorry. You want to do it right here? Or is it too noisy?
We can move back if you want.
That's what I'm just thinking, because I couldn't hear you.
Okay, you couldn't even hear me? I'm sorry.
Okay, this is good.
All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, did you hear what I was asking?
No, say it one more time.
Could you introduce yourself? What you were on the freeway for that night, and then what has your life been like since then?
Okay.
Yeah, sweet.
So, my name is Amina McCaskill. I was on the I-94 highway on the night of November 4th. I was on there for the dump Trump charges to make sure that he did not get anywhere near any type of election winning. Also, the freedom for my Black community, my people, and just the ending of police brutality and all the backwards stuff that's been going on in this country that needs to end. Ever since I've been arrested for the littlest things that I've done, it's just been a huge eye-opener. That would be the number one word I would say, is an eye-opener. It's opened my eyes to see how important it is, what I want to do now for the future, and the actions I need to take now moving forward to make sure that change actually does happen. That's been the number one thing I can say.
And then so you're a college student?
Yes.
And then so how has that affected you, having to go through these charges? Obviously COVID is like affecting everything in the college realms, but then with the charges happening, are you still able to go to school? How is it affecting your life?
So I'm still able to go to school, but obviously it just mentally stresses me out because you never know with the felony charge
what I'm studying for, if I can even pursue it later on in my future if I really wanted to. Like, it's just so many disadvantages that comes with it that you have to really think about and take precautions with, of like how you move now in your life with a type of charge like this. But by God's grace, this is still a pending charge, and it will be dropped for the future, not only for me, but the rest of the 646 protesters.
So I hear and feel a lot of strength from you. There was Lewis Hunter on I-94 in 2016 was the one black participant who got a felony charge. Very similar to your case, a black participant, youth, felony charge, a huge highway sort of occupation. Where is your strength coming from?
My strength is coming from just the love of being a part of the black community. Like, I may not be 100% black, but I'm still black. This is still my family. And even if I wasn't, right is right and wrong is wrong. Humanity needs to be more of a thing because it's so lacked right now. And I've always been a strong believer that the number one reason why everyone on this earth is love, and we're just very far away from that right now. So the thing that just keeps me strengthening is because if I'm not surrounded by love, if I'm not surrounded by good human people, then I'm not going to enjoy my life. I'm going to feel weak. I'm not going to be this strong. So I have to keep this strength for the rest of my people and to make sure that we get stuff changed.
What else would you want to say? Like maybe any of the 646 that were out there, or maybe anybody just watching, what would you want to say to them with anything?
I would just like to say to the 646 protesters that you guys are the most badass people I've ever met in my life, my best friends forever, and literally people that I walk with history with is a moment I will never forget. Probably one of the greatest experiences in my life was just actually being able to be a part of a historical moment like this. And I want to say to people that, like I said before, my situation that I'm in right now, do not let it scare you. Do not let it take you out of the streets. Do not let it stop whatever it is that you're doing right now in order to take action, because you're letting them win if you do that. And that's not the goal. We do not want them to win. We are going to win, and we are going to get the freedom and the change that we deserve.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
My name is Nico. Again, can I give you a hug?
Yes, you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate you. You too. Thank you. That was Amina McCaskill, who a lot of people are calling for this rally specifically for. They're calling her out have the charges dropped against her. So yeah, basically what you saw was 646, the demand of 646 to have their charges dropped. Those 646 were arrested the day after the election. There was a mass protest that went to this interstate, basically from about 7 blocks that way, got on the interstate. The police kettled it and did not let anybody off of the interstate while people were trying to get off. You saw the other banner that said drop the charges on the New Year's Eve noise demo 5, Noisy 5. There's 5 people being charged of felonies from the New Year's Eve noise demo that was also right down the street from here. There's a juvenile justice center that's right up the street here, and people had rallied there, were somewhere around these areas, got chased by police, and a whole bunch tackled, arrested, and charged with crimes. Cortez Rice over here. How you doing, man? Good to see you. So yeah, you can watch Cortez Rice's streams. He's always streaming. But elsewhere, who else was streaming up here was the Move for Justice Network, which was also, I think, either Phil Ward was streaming from his own site, and King Demetrius was definitely streaming. So those were some of the independent media out here. There was also some others that I'm totally missing. Beside that, what we heard from Toshira Garraway, who's lost her significant other 10 years ago to the St. Paul Police. We heard from Nikema Armstrong, who's a civil rights attorney and continued activist here in Minneapolis area. And we also heard from Sam, as well as Jay from Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. And we heard from Meredith, who's part of the Anti-War Committee, who was also a part of the organizing for the mass protest that was mass arrested. Also, if you look a day before that mass arrest was election dance party that was raided by the police. So the police have really amped up their reaction to protests and their repression of protest. And so you see that's sort of the sentiment that a lot of people were coming with. Was KKK cops are terrorists, and you got the drummer here. So continued presence of people seeking human rights, seeking Black lives to matter, and seeking some kind of police accountability. So we're going to bring the stream down. It's pretty cold out here, but thank you all for joining. Thanks Alex on the back end. Thanks Alex and D. D out in South Africa, Alex down in Denver. We got some new pieces coming out on our website. Continue to follow us, unicornriot.ninja. Continue to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, and we go live on Twitch nowadays. So continue to check us out on there too. Unicorn Riot is a non-profit organization dedicated to bringing you context to social and environmental struggles, and within that, we are only able to do this because of you. You fuel us, you fund us, and you support us. And within your support, if you do like our media, you can continue to follow us and continue to support us by going to unicornriot.ninja/donate. All right, thank you all, and we'll have fun with this little dog out here. Have a good night, everybody. Good day. Stay warm if you are in Minnesota or in the polar vortex area, and keep your mask on, I guess. Peace, peace.